Hello, everyone. Welcome to Afro Swag Media and Magazine. As always, I'll be your host on this show. My name is Deborah. I'm with Afro Swag Media and Magazine. And in honor of Black History Month, next month, actually, that's in a couple days, we have a series of interviews and we're bringing a lot of leaders to this platform so they can talk about their product and services as well as how the actions are impacting the Black community and the Omaha community, the Nebraska community in general. So tonight, I'm very honored to bring to you Fee King. And Fee, she is an Omaha native. She is an artist, a writer, a performer. Her birth name is Felicia Renee King. And currently, she lives in Maryland. She has lives in Los Angeles. She is an actor, a blogger as well, youth advocate, and she co-star a lot of shows, movies. Um, she did numerous commercials, TV commercials, and she wrote books. And I mean, I'm going to bring her so that we can discover her. And also, she is an advocate for women. Let me, without further ado, bring to the screen Fee King. Hello, Fee.
Hey, Deborah, that was awesome. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being on this platform. So, like I said, this is in honor of the Black History Month, and we are so happy to have you, an Omaha native. Tell us a little bit about you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, like you said, I was born and raised in Omaha, Nebraska on the north side. I attended Druid Hill Junior Elementary School, Bryan Senior High. I graduated from Northwest High. We lived in between Omaha and Denver, Colorado. So I bounced back and forth a lot. And let's see, I have one sister. Both of my parents lived in Omaha, but my father's from Como, Mississippi, and they are no longer with us. They are deceased. And so I don't get back to Omaha much because my parents are no longer there. And so that used to be what brought me back. And so I've been gone for like 33 years. I've been gone a long time. Yeah.
Wow, I'm glad we discovered you on social
Thank
media.
you. Yes.
I
Me
love
too.
everything that you do. So,
Oh,
tell me a little bit about the being an advocate for women over 40. What is
yes.
that program like?
I tell you, that is really my passion. And I realize all of the work that I've been blessed and fortunate to experience, because I like to think that I get to experience my work. I've been advocating for women all of my life. It just so happens that something happens after the age of 40. Few of those things, it's a sense of urgency, there's a sense of community, and there's a sense of awareness. And as a woman who's now over 40, who's now over 50, when I started my company, I was 48. When I conceived it, I was 48. And I realized that there are things that are happening to us mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and financially that not enough people are talking about and that I was unaware of. And so now that my level of awareness continues to grow as I grow, I want to be able to share this with my sisters over the age of 40. One of the things that one of the conversations, Deborah, that comes up often is no, women are telling me that no one told them. And I said, you know what? I want to be one of the voices because there are other voices. However, as a collective, we're not talking about perimenopause enough, especially in the Black community. We're not
Mhm,
talking about menopause. We're not talking about HRT, hormone replacement therapy. We're not talking
mhm,
about foods that support us going through the change. And we're also not talking about the fact that menopause is such a blessing as opposed to a curse. And it's also a rite of passage. And it's also a time that we get to start over, start again. We get to start where we are. We have this blank canvas that we get to draw upon, paint upon, play upon. And so it's not a negative, it's really a positive once you start going down the rabbit hole and learning more about what menopause really is and what it means for your life condition. And so I'm hoping that I get to be one of the voices to spread, the good news about it.
Wow, that's a lot of information that you just shared. So tell me, you are an artist, a writer, a performer, and an IFPA certified?
Yes, yes.
Okay, what does that stand for?
IFPA is a trainer certification.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, so it's been so long since I got certified. It's been like over 26 years. International Fitness Professional Association.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you do train people.
I do. I train people virtually,
Mhm.
and that's online. I use Zoom as the platform. I also train people mobile here in Maryland, and that encompasses the whole of the DMV. That's Virginia, DC. I will travel to Virginia. I don't, but I will. That also encompasses all of Maryland, DC. And then
Mhm.
I host fitness challenges. Sometimes they're in person, most of the time they're virtually. So I work with people. I now like to think that I have a global platform because I do, right?
You do, and
Absolutely.
being on social media, it's global.
Yes.
Everybody says it. So tell me, I don't know if this is a group that you created, but that's where I found you. It's other Black people in Nebraska?
Oh yeah, the group, there, and I think it's my group. There are Black people. Yes, there are Black people in Nebraska, because if I had a dime for every time someone said there are Black people in Nebraska, I'd be rich. I'm on my way to being rich now, but I would have been rich a long time ago. And I'm like, yes, we are everywhere. Can you believe it? We are everywhere. We're
Mm-hmm.
everywhere. So I started that group years ago because I wanted to show the very best parts of us and representing Omaha, Nebraska. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that is my group. Yes.
That's amazing. So you said you started all this advocating for women health, mental health when you were over 40, about 40, 48. What happened?
Mm, what happened? That's a great question. I do want to preface that I've been a trainer for about 25 years. So I started in LA as a celebrity trainer, and I
Mm-hmm.
trained everyone: men, women, teenagers, writers, directors, producers, actors, rappers. I mean, literally the gamut: soccer moms, teachers, just everyone. And then I retired in 2012. 2016, I decided to say yes to a relationship and move from LA to Orlando. And I realized 3 days in that I made a mistake. And it was one of those things. I was sharing this with a young man last night. It's one of those mistakes that one can make, and it felt so large because I couldn't go home. It's not like you have an argument with your partner and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to go home and we'll talk about
Mm-hmm.
this another day. But I felt stuck, and I felt like I was in an open air prison
Wow.
throughout the duration of that relationship. And so I'm in Orlando, and I'm trying to find my way. I don't know anyone but the my boyfriend at the time, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things came up for me as well as for him, and I felt like God allowed me to move to Orlando to get my attention.
Hmm.
And as crazy as that sounds, I realized it early on, and I remember saying to myself, "You're gonna have to sit with this one. Like, running is what you do. You're good for running. You'll run up out of a place, a situation, a circumstance. I will run. I'm out." And that
Hmm.
was the first time I was not able to run. And so, but what I did do was I worked out a lot. And so I'm no longer a trainer. I retired from personal training. I did a lot of working out and a lot of praying. And I got involved in Toastmasters. And
Okay.
that's really where I found my voice. I found not only my voice, I found
Mhm.
my tribe, and I found my strength. And what I also discovered is that I was far more powerful and stronger than I thought I was, and patient, because I knew that I was in this situation. And in the beginning, I didn't know how to get myself from being in that situation where I was to where it is I want it to be. And I actually wrote a
Mhm.
book titled that, How to Get from Where You Are to Where You Want to Be. And so oftentimes we'll think about where we want to be and we don't realize that there are steps. It's very
Mhm.
difficult to just go from here to there.
Mhm.
If I want to drive from here to New York, I don't just snap my fingers. I need to get in the car. I need to put gas in the car. I need to put it in my GPS, map quest it. I need to map the road, the route to New York. And I also need to see how long is it going to take. It's going to take about 3.5 hours, maybe four, depending upon the time of the day. And so
Mhm.
I realized that for me, exercise and running was a form of I call it moving meditation.
Okay.
And I said, if I can get myself from what I felt at the time was a horrific situation, if I can get myself out of this to
Mhm.
somewhere better, then I believe I can use this same method to help other women. And their situation may not be identical to mine, but
Mhm.
methodology can be used for whatever it is, whether it's work related, whether it's needing to lose weight, whether it's needing
Mhm.
to get off of health, weight related medicines, whatever that thing is. The one thing I know that works is, well, there's several things: prayer, meditation, and movement. Prayer, meditation, and you got to move that thing. You got to move your body.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's what happened, and that's what brought me to Be More Loving Baltimore.
Wow. Prayer, meditation, and movement.
Yeah.
So, where can we find your books?
On Amazon. Yes,
Okay.
on Amazon under Fee,
Mhm.
FEEKING. But actually, I think if you just go to my website, that's probably the easiest because there's a link. My
Okay.
website is www dot my name, FEE
Mhm.
hyphen KING.com. Fee hyphen
Okay.
KING.com.
Okay. All right. We have one question from Seiko, right? Do you have any challenges coming up soon? And thank you so much for tuning in and watching. So that's a question for you, Fiki.
Oh, thank you. Sekou writes, I do actually next week. We're going to start Wednesday, and all of the details will be posted on my website. People can register on the website, and it's going to be for 3 weeks. It's a 21-day fit, fine, and fabulous over 40 fitness challenge. I'm super excited about this one.
All right. So if you're watching right now, you can go to her website. It's www.fee-king.com.
Yes, that's it.
So it's spelled FEE hyphen King KING dot com. And you can find all her upcoming events, links to sign up, as well as links to her books. And that wasn't your first book, right? How many books did you write?
I've written two books, and I have one play that's published. Yeah, two books and one, and I'm actually working on my third book, which is I don't have a title yet, but it's going to be a how-to guide for women either experiencing perimenopause or they're already in menopause. And so I'm going to actually be offering a free article, like a precursor to the book, when people sign up for the fitness challenge. So that's super exciting. And here's the thing: even if you're not experiencing perimenopause or menopause, just trust and believe. If you live long enough, you will. And
Mm-hmm.
so the conversation just doesn't seem to be happening in our community enough. And
Mm-hmm.
for my sisters who have kids in their 20s and 30s, if you have nieces, if you have cousins who, and God willing, we're all planning to live well past 40, this is something you want to share with them. And you want to just help equip them and take out the fear of it. There's so much fear around menopause. Like sometimes we think, oh my God, this is the end of life, it's the end of the world, and it's not. It's the
Mhm.
beginning. And I want women to be excited about it as opposed to thinking it's the worst thing that could ever happen. It's like you're still alive. So you get to create this new chapter of your life. And I think that's worth celebrating, right?
Yes, it is absolutely. And you also mentioned that you wrote a play.
Yes. Yes.
What's the
Mama,
title?
Mama was a bad mother. Shut your mouth.
What's the story behind that? So, um, tell us about Mama was a bad mother.
Mhm.
What's the story behind that? If you don't mind sharing.
Oh, this story, it pays homage to my mother, who was born and raised in Omaha, Nebraska. The story, Omaha, Nebraska, is the backdrop of the story, which I'm very proud of because, again, I get to highlight Omaha. I get to share that, yes, there are Black people in Omaha. We're there. The story is of a young girl's untimely coming of age and womanhood amidst her mother's wild weekend house parties. And so the story takes place we start in 2000, sorry, excuse me, 1978, 1978 through 2016. And I play 19 characters.
Wow.
They're colorful, they're wild, they're dramatic, they're funny, they're I call it, we're experiencing dramedy because there's a lot of real things that are happening in this play because it's autobiographical. So it's my story. But more importantly, I think it's a love story. It's a story about a young girl and her mother coming to an impasse, and they get to decide, are we going to continue to live our relationship as victims of our situation, or are we going to find a way to heal our relationship and fall in love again? And so it's really a love story about a mother and a daughter. And I think men can relate to it as well because I've been
Mm-hmm.
told by men, they're like, "Oh my goodness, I experienced these things with my mother, and some of these things that you talk about in your show, I experienced that with my father." And so I,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's something for everyone in this show, and it's fun. It's so much fun, and I love the music that I get to reminisce to, and it takes me back to my childhood from Luther Vandross to Marvin Gaye to um, I'm really dating myself with this one, Bobby Womack. I just remember Bobby Womack playing on our floor model wood encased stereo, with the album, and we had the 45s. So it's I get to reminisce and I get to remember the good old days and then the not so good old days. And then I get to realize, well, you survived your childhood. And so I hope, especially when young people see this, that they'll realize whatever is going on right now, know that you can survive it and thrive through it. And you can heal and forgive yourself and forgive anyone who may have trespassed against you. So I hope that that's the takeaway when people experience the show.
Wow. I love it. So that got you nominated for an NWACP Theater Award.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
NAACP. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations on that. And as I was also reading your bio, it said somewhere that you were inspired by the murders of Tupac and Notorious B.I.G.
Um, I I I think
I think it's about something you conceive these streets or a children's lifestyle, fitness. variety show, something like that.
Oh, yes. You have the whole bio. Yes. So I think that, okay. So, yes, I created a children's fitness variety show
Mhm.
titled D Street. And I was able to get it funded by Josh Dumel, who's an actor. He was
Okay.
in Transformers, so many movies.
Mhm.
He used to be married to Fergie, and he starred in the TV show about Tupac and Biggie. Yeah, so that's where that came from. It's actually Josh
Okay.
Dumel,
Mhm.
the actor. Yeah, so
Mhm.
he funded the project, and he loved
Mhm.
it so much that he starred in it, and he let us shoot most of it out of his house in the Hollywood Hills. So that was one of the best times in my life, truly.
Uh-oh. Um, what
Am I
happened to the sound? Oh, okay, you're back.
okay?
For a second, I couldn't hear you anymore.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. It might be on my end as well. You know, technology these days, you never know.
Yeah.
So, next month, it's Black History Month.
Mm, mhm.
What can you tell me about your take on that? What does it represent personally or as a member of the Black community? What can you tell me?
I feel like Black History Month is happening for me and many of us, all of us, I would like to think, every single day. I don't need the month to acknowledge my ancestors, to
Mhm.
acknowledge myself. I think the month is really for non-Black people,
Okay.
right? Because we get to share things about our history on social
Mhm.
media, maybe in the workplace, in a performance space. I am so proud of us as a culture of people, and we have such a rich history. And for me, I feel like I'm a lot behind. There's so much that I don't know about my own history that I'm getting to learn every single day. My boyfriend and I went to the B&O. There's a museum here in Baltimore called B&O Railroad Museum. And I'm sure you're
Mhm.
thinking, okay, what does railroads have anything to do with Black history? I had no idea that I would get such a Black history education in this museum. I was almost moved to tears. It was so beautiful. And so living in Baltimore, living in this part of the region, this is where um, African Americans were traveling from the South through the Northeast en route to Philadelphia because they were free. And
Mhm.
so there's just so much history. There's so much to learn. And I pray that I can learn as much in my lifetime. And I would just lovingly share with those who have children, nieces, nephews, grandchildren, cousins, the younger ones, is to expose them to their own history. As soon as they can talk, we ought
Mhm.
to be sharing with them the stories, the songs, and our history started way before slavery. So, we got to go all the way back to Africa before we were enslaved people. And so
Mhm.
that's what I think about next month. While I love Black History Month, I'm living it every single day. Black history is happening for me every single day.
Wow, absolutely. So, have you ever traveled to Africa before?
Uh-oh. In my mind, in my heart, it is definitely where I want to go. And I was just having this conversation with someone the other day because I've always thought, and this could be a story that I've created, but when I go to Africa, I need to be able to go for a long period of time. It's not one of those places where you go for a week or two. I said, I need to be able to go for at least 2 months or longer, at least.
Mhm.
I'm watching a documentary titled High on the Hog. It's a food travel show where he travels to West Africa, Benin. Have you heard of
Mhm.
Benin?
Yeah, Benin is next to Togo.
Yes.
Yes.
And he tells the story of the slave trade and how food is still used as a way to commune, as a way to tell stories, and as a way
Mhm.
to keep the culture rich. He travels from Benin to other parts of West Africa down to South Carolina, and it's beautiful. My boyfriend and I just had African food for the first time in Maryland,
Oh,
uh,
wow.
at an African restaurant here in Baltimore. Because of
Mhm.
that show, like I said, I want some African food, and I really want to get to Africa. I want to go to Ghana. I have a neighbor who's from Ghana, and so he's always saying, "Fee, you got to get to Ghana." And so that's, I think I want to start in Ghana, and I want to
Mhm.
make that happen for myself sooner than later. So stay tuned for that.
You know, you should. I told you I'm from Togo, but the truth is I'm 50% from Togo, 50% from Ghana, because my mom is
Oh,
from Ghana. So,
okay. That's
yeah,
right.
it will be interesting. I mean, you'll love it. You'll love it.
I've heard. Yes. Yeah, I've traveled extensively, but
Mhm.
not to Africa yet, but soon. Yes.
Soon. I love that. So tell me, you also co-star on The Shield, The Bold and the Beautiful,
Mhm.
the critically acclaimed film Crypt,
Yes.
and several independent short films. And it keeps, I mean, it goes on and on and on. And tell me about
I've lived.
your role on The Shield, The Bold and the Beautiful. I know that.
You do?
Tell me a little about all of those.
I'm impressed, firstly, that you know about The Bold and the Beautiful. I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
I
Okay.
was a funny, you know.
Okay. So The Shield was such an incredible experience. And I'll tell you why.
Mhm,
As an actor, and I think any industry you're in, if you want to excel and become successful, we all have experienced those moments where you're full of doubt, where you're like, man, God, come on. Am I supposed to be doing this? Because it is not happening and I'm getting frustrated. I've had several of those moments as an actor. And this moment, I was really, really frustrated. And I was starting to get sad, but I think more angry because I was like, I'm putting in the work. We always think we're doing all of the things, and it's like there's still more to do. There's always more you can do.
mhm.
And so I was having that moment, and then a young lady called me. Her name is Donna Marie. And I don't know why she called me. We were in acting school together years before, and she said to me, she's like, Fee, how you doing, girl? And I was just really honest. You know, there was a time when I was the type of person I was like, girl, I'm good. I'm always good. "Oh, I'm fine. I'm fine." And I was like, you know what? I'm really frustrated because I'm not getting the auditions and nothing's happening with my career. And
Mhm.
she saw my one woman show. And she also knew my work because we were in acting school together. And she also was a producer on D Street. So she believed in me, and she said, "Fee, you know what? I'm going to call you back." And so I was like, "Oh, okay." I was in the middle of pouring my heart out to you. I was like, "All right, girl, call me back." She called me back. She said, "I think there's a role for you on the Shield." I
Okay.
was like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah." She said, "Give me your agent's information. Let me send the sides. That's what they're called, like a snippet of the script. Send it to your agent." Agent called me,
Mhm.
and I pretended like I didn't know anything about this. And they said they want to see you for this role. And I'm reading the breakdown. The breakdown was a heroin addicted prostitute. And so I was like, all right, that's deep. But heroin, when I think of heroin, I think of someone who's, very emaciated, very thin, gaunt looking. And so I thought, I physically don't look like I do drugs. And I don't know how I can pull that off because I'm a very thick, muscular person. How am I going to look that way? But I said, I'm gonna go in. And what I did was I channeled my favorite film, which stars Diana Ross, Lady Sings the Blues. She played Billie Holiday, and Billie Holiday was heroin addicted. And that's been my favorite film since I was a young girl. Every
Mm.
Thanksgiving, I'd watch that movie. My friends were like, girl, if we watch this movie one more time, do we have to do this every Thanksgiving? I was like, yes. And it was a DVD. I was like, we're watching Lady Sings the Blues and Mahogany. How about that? And so I just channeled that. And I remember when I was rehearsing the line, I just thought, for me, what it might feel like to be so high to where I'm not even in this world. I went in and I went so deep in the audition, I kind of scared myself.
Wow.
I really did. And I got the role. I was like, but then they asked me if I was in SAG. And I was like, no, I'm SAG eligible. They're like, oh, yeah, well, you have to join SAG before we can let you do this role. That was like $1,200. I was like, man, just when you think you're there, you're not there, and you get to dig a little deeper. I had a
Mhm.
client who was a writer on Grey's Anatomy. So she was my client. And I said, look, can I front you training sessions for $1,200? She's like, sure. Like it was nothing. And so
Mhm.
she fronted me the $1,200. We worked it out in training sessions. I was able to join SAG, do the role. I got to meet Anthony Anderson. I got to meet,
Ooh.
yes, my scene was with Glenn Close and Mike Chiklis. It was a dream come true. I was on the set all day. When my scene was over, I was like, nope, I'm staying. I'm watching all the scenes. It was incredible, incredible. And then to see myself actually commit to the work and to not use barriers, because sometimes we're like, oh, well, I don't look like, or I'm not pretty enough, or I'm not, I don't have, my hair's not long enough. I'm not this enough, but you are enough. And obviously
Mhm.
I was enough because I got the part.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very inspiring.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that once again. It's
Thank you.
impressive. I kept reading and reading your bio. I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm having her on my platform. So,
Thank you, Deborah.
one other thing also that was, you know, stood out to me is your hairstyle.
My
Tell me about it.
lack of,
So beautiful.
thank you.
Oh,
Thank
you don't
you.
have to remove it. You can put it
I
back
can rock
on.
my hat, right? Okay. Thank you.
So, yeah, tell me about it. When I watch you live on social media, and I think you have a program every Friday, that's all, I look at. I'm like, wow, that's bold and beautiful.
Thank you so much. I was at the store today and a lady came over to me and she said, when you cut your hair like that, she said, she couldn't get the word out. I said, was it challenging? Was it uncomfortable? Was I insecure? Was I self-conscious? Yes, 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 and yes. I said, but I did it anyway. And so one of the things that I believe, the core of who I am is, you can be fearful, you can
Mm-hmm.
be uncomfortable and do it anyway. And so I was all of those things. So I have alopecia areata and it's hereditary, but I also believe that it was exacerbated by my neglectful ways in caring for my hair.
Okay.
I developed a bald patch when I was maybe 22, 23.
Mm-hmm.
My hairstylist said, "Fee, I think you should go see a dermatologist because I think you might be losing your hair." And I was like, I just remember being in such denial about it, and I was like, "Girl, I work out. Girl, I drink water. I'm gonna be good. Girl, I'm gonna think positive thoughts." And nope, I'm not claiming. That was my thing. I'm not claiming this. I'm not claiming that. And she was right. It took about 25 years to get to the point where when I would wear a weave and get my hair braided, I remember
Mm-hmm.
I remember the time when I knew I have to do something, but I'm not because I'm still in denial, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm avoiding this. I'm just gonna keep
Mm-hmm.
wearing weaves, but my braid had separated from the scalp. And
Hmm.
that was traumatic. I was at a water fountain at an airport. I was drinking water and I was making fun of myself because I'm a snob. I don't drink tap water, but there was no bottled water and I needed to get
Mhm.
on this plane. So I took a selfie of myself drinking the tap water and I looked at the picture and I saw my scalp. And it took everything I had in me not to cry because I'm getting on the airplane. I'm with my home girl, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is really happening." January 1st, 2017. Sorry, December 31st, 2016. I was watching the Essence Awards, and there's a singer named V as in Victor Bozeman.
Mhm.
And she's a powerful singer, really, really beautiful, dark skinned sister, and she's bald. And she had on this beautiful white gown. And
Mm.
I mean, she looked just stunning.
Mhm.
And I said to my boyfriend the next day, I said, which was New Year's Day, I said, shave it. And he said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes." Because I had been wearing wigs, running, and I literally thought I was going to have a heart attack because it was so hot. And I didn't
Mhm.
realize at the time, but I was starting to go through perimenopause. And so that's that internal heat.
Mhm.
But again, I think that was God's way of saying it's time for you to start peeling off the layers. It's time for you to let go. It's time for you to let go. It's time for you to let this go. You're so attached to the identity of your hair. You know, I'm a trainer. I have the mohawk. I had the Jeep. And so he shaved it. And I thought I had a big head. And I was like, "You got a little peanut head." I said, "Okay, this is what it is." And yes, I cried. And I cried for a long time. But what I
Mhm.
didn't do was I never covered up when I went outside. So I cry and I go outside and I come back in and I cry some more until you just get used to it. And I remember my sister, maybe 4 months later, I was sharing with her, that this sucks. And she said, "You're not over it?" I said, "I had hair for 48 years. So it might
Mhm.
take another 48 to get over this. I don't know." But today I have definitely settled in. Now, would I like hair? Absolutely. However,
Mhm.
I don't think I'm willing to do any type of surgical procedure. I mean, I think the most I would do is what is it called? Pigmentation, just to darken, to look like I have a little
Mhm.
fade. But I wouldn't do anything to have long hair because I never had long hair. Um,
Mhm.
and I'm fine with wigs, but honestly, wigs kind of itch. They don't feel comfortable on a bald head.
Mhm.
So this is me, and this is what you get, and this is enough. This is enough, right?
It is enough.
I think
2
so.
years ago, I also shaved my hair,
Ah,
and yeah, both sides. And
okay.
I started braiding just, the middle, and it's also alopecia, which
Mm,
I had developed when I was serving in the Peace Corps in Africa, and that
mm,
was in 2013.
okay.
Then, yeah, like you said, it was a result of pulling the hair, weaves, and braids, and all of that. And um, when I came back from my Peace Corps service in 2015, then I'll hide it. At some point, I started having, short hair. It didn't last 6 months. I started, hiding it on the wigs, braids, and more weaving. And
Mhm.
then 2 years ago, I decided, I'm just going to give this a try. And I shaved it, and the reaction, it was amazing. Today I have a wig on because I didn't have time to, take care of my hair to go to a barber and all of that. But I love
Yeah.
carrying it, being bald and all of that. It's beautiful, I love it. I love your
Yes.
story.
I agree. Thank you. And I love wigs. I love all of it, and especially the evolution of wigs and where they're going, the lace fronts, and how you can color in the part to make it look very natural. And when I did
Mhm.
wear wigs, I always wore the kind of kinky curly. So I love
Mhm.
all of it. I think for me, and we're all on our personal journey. For me, I look at how full my days are and how I wish to
Mhm.
spend my time. And I'm like, oh, I just don't know that I want to carve out time to spend on my hair anymore. I had spent so much time and money and energy and importance on my hair. It feels
Mhm.
really good to not do that anymore for
It
me.
does. Mhm.
Yeah, you can relate. Hmm.
Yes. So also tell me a little bit about body contouring
Oh,
and
yes.
is it lipo or lipo cavitation?
Lipocavitation, yes. So I added that to my repertoire of services because one of the
Mm-hmm.
things I realized being a woman over 50, most of the women that I get to help get from where they are to where they want to be are women over 40. And although most of them are working out hard and they're eating better, there are certain areas that are just going to be stubborn. And we all have that, whether it's the tummy, the flanks, the inner thighs, the triceps. And so I love that when I can add that as a what I call a companion piece. It's non-invasive.
Mm-hmm.
We're using radio frequency, low radio frequency sound waves to blast body fat, and then it naturally
Okay.
drains through the lymphatic system. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
system, it's a machine that you use. There's a wand, and you just, run it over the affected area. Mostly it's the belly, obliques, and again, the flank. It heats up. There's a lot of massaging, a lot of manipulation. And then again, you move it towards the lymphatic system where it's going to naturally drain. I do wood therapy treatments to help with cellulite, and it absolutely works. It is incredible. I do the Yiso wrap, which helps to bring the belly in. So these are all just services that help with the training. So I always tell women, this is not the solution.
Mm-hmm.
This is the companion piece to training, diet, hydration, and body contouring. I'm
Okay.
so happy that I added that because, again, sometimes there's only so many lunges that you can do. There's only so many
Mm-hmm.
variations of abdominal exercises that you can do until you say, you know what, I just need a little help because during menopause you're starting to lose estrogen, and so that body fat is going to start to accumulate. People can find out more about body contouring on my website as well.
Okay, so once again, the website is, I'm just going to put it on the screen that way everybody can see it. So
Okay.
it's www.faking.com.
Yeah. fee-king.com.
All right, so we are going to put it on the screen, like I said. Is this the one?
Yep, that is it, Deborah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, guys, if you just tune in, if you just join us, when you go to this website, you have all the information about her challenges, her trainings, and we just talk about the body contouring and also her books. Everything you need to know, especially if you're a woman over 40, like me.
Yes.
I'm telling you, this is what I need. I was so looking forward to having this conversation with you.
Oh,
And
thank
like
you.
I told you, one of your clients, Shonda Ross, I was sharing all this with them, and they were very excited
Oh,
about having you on this platform, sharing all this knowledge, all this experience, and also, your story with us.
mm,
It's an honor to have you here, truly.
thank
And
you.
being an Omaha native, oh my God, I'm so proud of
Thank
you,
you.
proud of
Oh,
everything that you do. Yeah, go ahead, please.
I was just going to say thank you so much, Deborah. Really, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Like I said, it's amazing. I will say it's a divine connection, the way we found you and when we reach out, you did not make it difficult for us, which we are very grateful. So we will take just a little break. And please, if you're tuning in, if you're watching from YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram, don't go away. Stay with us. We will be right back. This magazine caters to all African nationwide. It doesn't matter if you're in the Midwest, East Coast, wherever you are, you can use this magazine to have more visibility and to tell your story. All right, like we said, that was just a, 15-second break. We are back, and thank you so much for tuning in and joining us. Like we said, in honor of Black History Month, we are holding a series of interviews, shows to bring, people like Fiki to this platform so they can share with us the services, the offerings, the products, and knowledge with us. And if you're a woman and you're over 40, this definitely is for you. And the video will be available on YouTube for any replay. If you have friends, sisters, aunts, mothers, girlfriends, wives, please invite them to go to YouTube and to replay this. So next week, Monday, which is February 6th, we are hosting um, Tiffany Gamble and David, and it's going to be about technology, closing the diversity gap in tech. Don't miss it. Join us. You will learn a lot about opportunities that they have, training opportunities at Metropolitan Community College. And then after that, we have this discussion panel with Eric Ewing, Jade Rogers, and Charles about Black culture defined. And then one more, last but not the least, we also have one coming up, Black representation in today's media is going to be with Waverly Morrow, myself, Terry Sanders, William King, and Monique Farmers. Under no circumstances, don't miss any of those. And thank you so much, Fee. Tell me about the name, Fee King.
I love your questions. Oh, King. Okay. Growing up in Omaha, Nebraska, I used to be Fifi.
Okay.
However, now that I'm a whole grown woman, I realize Fifi is a poodle, and we must drop one of those fees. My mother's good friend nicknamed me Fifi, and so it stuck. And as an actor in LA, I was always trying to figure out how can I stand out and differentiate myself from everyone else. And so
Mm-hmm.
I've been going by Fee just amongst my peers forever. Again, started out as Fifi, and then probably by my late 20s, I dropped the other Fee. And so one day I had new headshots printed up, and it just hit my spirit to go with Fee King as opposed to Felicia. So I printed half with Felicia King as my namesake, the other half with Fee King. And I just asked my friends which one kind of, sounded like popped. And everyone said Fee King. And I said, you know what? We're going to be Fee King. And so here I am, still Fee King. That's the story.
And you can find her on social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Are you on Instagram?
Yes.
Okay. And what's your handle?
My handle on all of those platforms, it's fees, FEES, like I'm going to charge you a fee.
Okay.
Fitness over OV as in Victor ER 40 fees fitness over 40.
Okay. So again, if you go to her website, you'll be able to find that information as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So any shout out to anyone before we part ways?
Of course. So many. Okay. I want to shout out my girl, Shonda Ross from the ONE. I want to shout out all of my cousins. So much of my family is still in Omaha. I want to shout out Sean Watts. She's a client of mine also in Omaha, Nebraska. I want to shout out Dewan McCarthy from Omaha, Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many. Let's see. I want to shout out Sanji. I don't know Sanji's last name, but she's from Omaha, Nebraska, relocated to
Okay.
Texas. I want to shout out the Westbrook family. Those are my cousins, and the Johnsons. Those are my cousins, and just all of the. I really want to shout out all of the women over 40
Mm-hmm.
who are going into this next chapter. This next chapter, I want to shout out all of those women who are entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, self employed, small business owners, independent contractors, and those who are desiring to be so. Know that any and every and all things are possible. And it starts with you making a decision on how you want to live the next 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of your life. Start today, and you get to start where you are, exactly where you are.
Wow. Wow. What a good way to end the show. I love it. Very inspiring. Well, um, every good thing has an end. And we've been here for the past 50 minutes and we've come to the end of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for joining us. And it's been a pleasure to have this conversation with you. And we'll make sure we bring you back, so you can update us. And when you get back to Omaha, I believe you'll be in Omaha later this year. Make
Yeah.
sure you holler at us and we can have, a live show with
Yeah.
you.
I would love that. I look forward to meeting you. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm very grateful that you're interested in me and what I have to share. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for joining. Have a good night.
You too. Peace.